Hey, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. If you're new, welcome. And if not, welcome back. It's Friday, so happy Fibro Friday to you all. I hope that your week ended on a better note than it started. And if your week started amazing, I hope it's even better now that we've gotten to the end of it. So, we just got off of Fibromyalgia Awareness Month. It's every May. I did a very quick video on it sometime a couple weeks ago. I'll make sure to post that overhead. But this month is Migraine and Headache Awareness Month. And I was like, oh, back to back, because I'm guessing if you have fibromyalgia or you have a loved one with fibromyalgia, you know very well that one of our main symptoms is headaches. Yes. So today I just want to talk briefly about what chronic headaches look like. I've never had migraines, so I won't speak on that, but I will speak on chronic headaches. I'll tell you just a touch of my background because you hear about that all the time, but I will also give you some of my tips for how I handle chronic headaches to bring them down a bit as well as to, get rid of them in some cases. So, firstly, I have had headaches off and on for years. It's not an unusual thing, but certainly since dealing with fibromyalgia symptoms, I am what I would consider a chronic headache sufferer by the definition, which is more than 15 days out of the month, I have a headache. Now, it does not mean that the headaches are all very debilitating. In fact, most of the time they're very low grade, and then certain times of the month, I notice that they're worse than others. So it's almost like a very low level pain most days. And then I only really notice it when it spikes, kind of like the rest of the pain that I experience, right? So my headaches in particular are tension style. I tend to clench my jaw while sleeping, especially if I'm under a bit of stress. And it's very hard to control the stresses with that because it could be something that I'm not even fully conscious of. Things that don't feel stressful while I'm awake and moving throughout the day, my body may be processing them totally different when I'm asleep. So they are tension headaches for the most part. So I have a very specific way of getting relief for those, but I go through a few different non medication options before I reach for something to help with the pain. Now, first and foremost, not medical advice. Take this, throw it out if it doesn't work for you, keep it if it does. So, if I am noticing that my headaches are more intense, the first thing that I do to get myself some relief is go drink some water. Many times, my headaches are very closely tied to how dehydrated I am. So, once I drink some water, and get that in my system, I notice a difference normally. So that's the first thing I do. I go drink some water and give myself a few minutes to see if that gives me some relief. Many times it does. It may not take away the headache fully, but it does usually help. The second thing that I do is put on a weighted eye mask. Sometimes I'll notice that even my tension headaches, which tend to be more concentrated in the jaw and neck area, as well as my head, um, particularly like my temples, I noticed that if I use my weighted eye mask, the counter pressure gives me a good deal of relief. I've reviewed that mask before and I'll put that overhead as well. It was in a previous Fibro Friday video and I love my weighted mask. I wish I had remembered to pull it out for this video, but just know that it's a fairly inexpensive investment and it feels amazing. It's cool to the touch unless you decide you want to warm it. So if you're somebody that likes warm when they're hurting a bit, that might help. But I like just cool fabric on my eyes, and the counter pressure, like I said, really helps with pain, especially if I'm experiencing temple pain or pain behind the eyes. The third thing that I do is jaw and neck stretches because I'm clenching, and that's usually the root of my pain. I notice that opening my jaw and not opening it too wide because that can hurt, but opening my jaw and closing it and stretching my neck a bit, just gently, gentle neck rotations and gentle side stretches with the neck. I notice that that gives me a measure of relief as well because I'm loosening muscles that are tense. And that is wonderful for giving me some headache relief. It may not take away the headache fully, but I do notice I feel better after that. The fourth thing I do, and it's my favorite thing to do, this is my solution for most things: take a nap if I can. Most days I can. If I have a headache, I can take a brief nap for 20, 30 minutes. That's the briefest I'll do. um, I try to get more than that, 2 to 3 hours, whatever. I like a good nap. Something about resting gives me a ton of relief. It's it's the ultimate reset for me. Now, if you suffer from fibromyalgia or some other chronic pain issue, getting a good stretch of sleep might be nearly impossible. And I totally acknowledge that. As somebody that is currently in the midst of a flare, I get it. And that is very difficult. But if you notice that you can take a nap, that might be a great thing to do, especially if you've done all the other things: the stretches, the eye mask, the hydrating. If you've done those things, putting a nap on top of it can really help you get some great relief. And then the fifth thing, which is easier to do normally when you are feeling not so achy, but it might be worth considering once you're in a headache too, is to evaluate any triggers and to actively avoid them. So for me, I have a couple of headache triggers, but they're not consistent. So sometimes it can make my headache worse, and sometimes, or it can exaggerate a headache, and sometimes it has no effect. One thing that I've noticed is I tend to find myself very achy in general when I've eaten a lot of processed carbs. I've had fun with breads and cereals and that kind of thing. So I've been trying to avoid those more. What I notice is that when I eat almost all plant based, lots and lots of fruit and veggie, as raw and as uncooked as possible with those things, I feel amazing and headaches are minimal, but I do have to eat enough. Another trigger is under eating, not eating enough food or forgetting meals, because that is fairly easy for me to do. So, forgetting meals, remembering to stay on top of it is what keeps the headaches away, but forgetting it is what can bring them on. So, and many times I'll look for a trigger. Have I eaten? Have I eaten the wrong thing? So if I have a really bad headache, I look at both of those. I also look at seasonal triggers. What is it like outside? Even though it's a tension headache, it can still be amplified by seasonal things like allergies. So lots to consider with that. But I look at all of my triggers and try to figure out what may be behind it and actively avoid it. So if I've been feeling headachy and it's the middle of the pollen season, I don't go outside if I can help it. I keep those travels outside to a minimum and just kind of ride that wave out until the worst of it is over. So that is it for headaches from me, what I experience with a headache. Do you all have headache issues, whether you have fibro or not? Do you have any headache issues? What is your go to relief, medicine or not, to help you with that? If you have migraines, I'd love to know more about how you handle those. And I hope you're doing well if you are experiencing those. And yeah, leave me something in the comment section. Let me know how life is treating you if you have headache issues or migraine issues. And just know this is your month. So if you look online, you may be able to find some great resources to support you. If you're having these things chronically, I will try to find some things and put those in the description box for you as well, because there's a lot to consider when it comes to managing headaches, a lot of different ways to do it. And the more options you have, the more reasons, or not reasons, the more routes you can take to relief. So that's it for me. Please have a great and hopefully pain free weekend, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye bye.